Maybe don't know.
This time, next time, this time to build. 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 This time power. This time to build power. This time to build power. This time to build power.
What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Chris Hampton.
And this is Nate Drolet.
And together we form Pointer and Middle, otherwise known as First Team.
I thought these were the two dogs from Where the Red Fern Grows for a second. I mean, Pointer, that sort of was a thing. I don't know where Middle was going.
Sounds like a dog.
Yeah. All right, where is this from though?
It's from Hangboarding.
Oh, Pointer and Middle. Jesus, fuck.
Wow. You are blowing these left and right.
I was like, this is some obscure hip-hop group. Terrible names.
Oh, man. Pointer and Middle.
Okay. This is a rough day. All right. What are we talking about today?
Well, we're talking about hangboarding and the top 5 reasons why hangboarding is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
And we just sort of had a little argument here because you're like, well, it's overrated because it's popular. And I'm like, I know. That's why we're talking about it.
I feel like it's still worth saying.
It is. So we're saying it. It is. It's popular. It's trendy. It's the thing to do, especially one-arm hangs right now. And
yeah.
We're going to have a whole nother top 15 reasons why you shouldn't be hanging on one arm. And maybe some top reasons why you should.
Yeah.
But hangboarding is super popular, super trendy, and honestly kind of has been growing since maybe before, but I think it kind of reached its new age of trendiness with the rock prodigy.
Yeah.
And everybody was doing repeaters. And repeaters were the thing, and they were the only way to get better. And why are you guys even bouldering in here? Like, this is a repeater room.
It was a repeater room.
You know, that's how it felt at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I think lately, Lattice has been doing a bunch of good work with getting people strong, and a lot of that is based on the hangboard, and it's just gotten really, really popular and really trendy.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, I don't like it.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes without saying there's a reason it's been popular.
Yeah, for sure.
Hangboarding works. Finger strength's important. As much as I like preaching that this is a skill sport and things like that, and that's very mental, shit, man, strong fingers go a long way in this game.
They do. And, you know, you're probably listening to this on your pocket supercomputer, and you've probably already seen that at the same time as we released this episode, we released another, which is the antithesis of this episode, the top 5 reasons why you should be hangboarding. You know, so we use the tool. We like the tool, but it is a tool, and it's not a cure-all for everything.
Panacea.
Yes. So these are the top 5 reasons why hangboarding is overrated.
Mm-hmm.
Our number 5 is it's just too damn easy to go past the minimum effective dose. And it's kind of funny because one of the reasons I like hangboarding is because of its ease of use.
Mm. Before we go, you want to explain real quick what minimum effective dose is?
Good plan. Do that.
I'm doing it. So minimum effective dose is basically what is the least amount you need to do of something in order to get the result, the desired outcome.
Yeah.
So
super simple.
Yeah.
So you could spend 100 hours doing it, but if you only need to spend 10 hours, that's 90 hours past the minimum effective dose.
Mm-hmm.
And like I was saying, one of the things I love about the hangboard is its ease of use, but that's also one of the things I don't like about it is it's too easy to take it overboard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't want to go to the gym tonight, so I'm just going to stay here and hangboard. It's all the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really easy to keep it going and feel like you made gains. I need more gains.
Oh man, and
Gains with 3 Z's.
so many gains. When you first hangboard, it's amazing. Like,
Yeah.
you see immediate results. Like, you come in the next week and your hands are stronger.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So it is, I mean, I've fallen for this. It's so easy to do more than you should, or more than just as necessary. I mean, and the thing is, you can do, 15 hours a week of hangboarding, and it's going to be, you're probably going to get stronger than if you just did like 30 minutes, but, there's a give and take.
Yeah. So I think we're going to run through these both kind of quickly since we're putting 2 episodes out on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's our number 5. It's too easy to go past that minimum effective dose.
Yeah. And one other thing just to add to it is that fingerboarding and honestly a lot of strength training in general, should be viewed as supplemental strength.
Right.
So these are things that supplement your climbing, and where this is a good transition into one of our later ones.
Let me ask this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
We're apparently going to spend a lot of time on these.
We'll make it short.
Is there such thing as minimum effective dose for finger strength? If finger strength is one of the main components of climbing, why is there a minimum effective dose? Like, why would I stop hangboarding if I'm getting more finger strength?
Because there's so many things that go into climbing.
Yeah.
And, if you only have so many hours, so much energy, you have to allocate it accordingly. And this is one of the reasons why I think when Ava Lopez put out her research paper and talked about the minimum edge and maximum added weight and suggested this, like, this was a very simple template that was very time effective.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, like, to me, that's a really great minimum effective dose. It's anywhere from 3 to 5 hangs, depending on how many weeks you're into it. But it's great. It's super quick. And a lot of people get a bunch of bang for their buck.
Yep.
Is it perfect? No. Can you do it forever? No. But
it is the best hangboard protocol.
Yes. Ava
And
says.
you should listen to our episode on that because it definitely is.
Yes. Listen to the episode with Ava Lopez. But it's really great because it doesn't take much input, but you get plenty out of it.
Yeah.
And, that's great. That's what we're looking for. If we can have these small investments and have a big outcome out of them, perfect. Like, as long as you're still moving the needle forward, then I say that's great. And that's, that's a good way to go. Like, sometimes you might need to reallocate your time into different areas depending on your strengths and weaknesses. But like this point said, it's really easy to go beyond minimum effective dose or even just, like, what is useful in our sport.
Yep. You were about to embark on this really elegant way to go into the next one before I tanked you. So do you remember how you were going to do that?
No, because I was going to skip to number 3. I knew what I was doing, and then I looked down, and that's why I kind of paused, and you cut in. It was good timing.
No, I think one of the reasons that people do go overboard with it is because of its measurability, and that's our number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's really measurable. That's attractive.
It's great because rock climbing's not. Like, grades are stupid. They're really weird. They are dependent on so many odd things.
Yeah. I mean, the gym I spent a lot of time climbing at in Cincinnati, RockQuest, put up a post today on Facebook about, do you prefer hard for the grade routes or soft for the grade routes? And I'm like, I don't know anybody who can tell the difference. So, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And that's just it. Like, no matter where you go, grades are silly, like indoors, outdoors.
Yeah.
And people will get upset over if it can be circuits, and people are like, that's not a red boulder, And I mean, I do it too. Don't get me wrong. Sure. And there's times I'm like,
for sure,
motherfuckers, like, this isn't green. This is definitely red. Like, it's such a silly thing.
Yeah.
And what's not silly is being able to have recordable numbers that you can put down in an Excel spreadsheet in a journal, and you can say, I added 2 pounds today.
Yeah.
And that, like, I haven't added any weight in 2 weeks. So this was a better day.
And because it's science, you can completely remove all of the other things like humidity and how much you slept and all of those things that might be contributing to how you didn't perform very well yesterday, but today you suddenly got wildly stronger. And it can look like hangboarding made all the difference, and that was the big measurable thing, and honestly, like you said, grades aren't that measurable. Climbing isn't that measurable. And I think if you're a person who's predisposed to being really attracted to that measurability,
engineers, statisticians,
Yeah.
number people in general.
yeah, then maybe what you need to be embracing to improve your climbing is the more nebulous side of it and trying to understand that a little better instead of just diving down this rabbit hole. I think it can be helpful.
Yeah. And this isn't to trash on measuring things at all. Like
Engineers.
no, definitely not. No, like, and man, I love talking.
But you can trash on statisticians, let's be honest here.
Yes. I don't even know what that means, but I love talking with people who are obsessed with measuring because they have really cool insights into things.
Yep.
And I think the biggest warning we're trying to give right now is if you're the person that you already have multiple Excel spreadsheets for everything and, you have all these data graphs and all that, sometimes it might be worth just taking a step back and saying, hey, like, am I putting too much value in this because I can track it?
Yep.
Or, am I just taking it to the right degree? Because there are plenty of people, they're amazing with numbers, they track things perfectly, and they're great. And you know what? They're hitting the right minimum effective dose, and it's wonderful.
Totally.
Like, and that's great. However, if you're one of these people who you listen, you're like, I don't track shit, I've never kept a journal, you're also one of those people that probably needs to be tracking things.
Yeah. And that's why, you and I are people that really like to talk practice and mindset and process and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we've also got Dale, our data guy, who is looking at all the numbers from the assessments and putting it all together and telling us what the numbers mean and why we should be paying attention to certain numbers, and because they're valuable.
Yeah, man, I think numbers are incredibly valuable.
But either one of the two can go too far.
Totally. You should be measuring things. You should be tracking things, keeping metrics. But yeah, like one way or the other, like doing none of that or doing where everything has to be trackable.
Yeah.
Like you can drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. And since this episode is basically top 5 ways we can hate on hangboarding, for those people who really love the measurability of it, our number 3 reason, and this is exactly why you should embrace the more nebulous side of climbing, is that climbing is a skill sport.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you like it or not, no amount of finger strength is going to get you up a route, get you up every route if you don't know how to climb. I mean, Dave Graham is one of the best technical climbers we've ever known. He also has incredible finger strength. So
amazing combo.
It's not a bad thing to have.
Yeah.
But I know lots of people who have incredible finger strength who can't climb for shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows. They're not climbing at Dave Graham's level.
Yeah. Great climbers have great finger strength, but having great finger strength doesn't make you a great climber.
Right. And frankly, having great skills also doesn't make you a great climber.
No.
You need both things.
Yeah.
But needing both means that one can't go too far.
Totally. And actually there's something kind of cool. So Will Anglin recently put out a blog post called Hangboarding Away. And great, kind of talked on his philosophy on hangboarding and training and a lot of different things. And he posted it to Reddit, and there were a bunch of back and forth, some really cool dialogue. And one thing that he talked about was he, before his trip to Switzerland in early 2019, had really dove into getting strong. Like he pushed his numbers really hard, hangboarding, campusing, things like that. And I remember talking with him before he went, and he was just like, dude, I feel so strong.
Oh, yeah.
Like
I
I'm
got
smashing.
texts from him about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And he went to Switzerland, and I didn't hear much about it. And then it wasn't until actually reading this blog that, or not the blog, but him on Reddit, he was just like, yeah, like I put my head down and I really like chased those numbers. And when I went for the first time in my life, I was just owning holds but I wasn't finding the positions. Like
Yeah.
I was trying to like overpower everything because I had, pulled back my climbing a little bit to really ramp these numbers up. And his strength had gone up so quickly that he didn't know how to apply it well.
Yeah. Steve Maish said the same exact thing in one of the podcast episodes with him.
Yeah.
That Lattice had told him his finger strength was shit, and he made his finger strength much, much better. And he went on a trip and just couldn't move between the holds. He said he could hold everything, couldn't move between them.
Yeah. So kind of chasing one thing so far that, you leave the other things behind. So taking any, it's like anything. We don't want to take things to an extreme.
Yeah. And I don't think, I've heard people say that if you get too strong, your technique falls apart or something, and that's utter nonsense. That's totally not true. Where they get that from is because the people who are getting strong are taking it too far, and they're only focused on that, and they're forgetting that climbing is a skill sport. So having a healthy balance of both strength and skill is really, really important.
Yeah. And it's, we've talked about this before, but this idea of currency, like how current are your skills?
Yeah.
Like you can be an amazing climber with like, a good example. When I was in Smith a few years ago, Mark Anderson was there. He had just climbed shadow boxing, and he came out and he wanted to do it. So a full letter grade below what he had just climbed. He came out, he had 2 weeks, and I saw him on his last day, and I was like, hey, how's it going? This was the first time we met. And we talked about it. He was like, yeah, I had a really hard time. Like, he was like, I came back, I underestimated how intense the footwork is here. He's like, I completely forgot. And this is a guy who's climbed to Boulder Not to Be.
Right.
And Mark Anderson's climbed a lot of the most hard technical sport climbs.
He's a brilliant technical rock climber.
Amazing. Like one of the best in the nation. But this was different. Like climbing at Smith was different. And he was like, yeah, like I didn't give enough respect to using the bad feet here in this style. And I rushed in a little too fast. Yep. And so for him, his currency in that style, even though he was the fittest he had ever been in his life, it just wasn't quite there.
Yep. Needed to brush up on the skills a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think we all make that mistake.
Oh, totally.
There are times when I'm diving deeper down the strength rabbit hole like I am right now. And there are times like, much of the last several training seasons that I've dived deeper down the skill rabbit hole. The important thing is you're just trying to spend more time working on what you need. And climbing is a skill sport, so don't forget about it.
Yeah, and finding that balance. Like, because even if you are focusing on skill, you should still be getting stronger.
Yeah.
Or if you're trying to get stronger, still make sure you're keeping current with your skills.
Yeah, and climbing is also important for your finger strength. I mean, it's how you use it, frankly. So finger strength is nothing if you don't know how to apply it. And that's our number 2, is that you can gain finger strength elsewhere through climbing, through bouldering. I hear lots of people, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves, is hearing people say that you shouldn't be just bouldering in this training plan. You should also be hangboarding because you need finger strength. Well, if a person is starting from a really low level of finger strength and they're spending time bouldering, their fingers are going to get stronger.
Yeah.
Even an intermediate or advanced level of finger strength, you've still got quite a bit of room to grow that you can get through bouldering. It's not quite as measurable. It's not nearly as measurable, but it can happen. Lots of boulders. I don't know how many times Fred Nicole has been on a hangboard, but probably less than a lot of 5'11" climbers I know. And I'm guessing Fred's finger strength is better than 5'11" level. He got it through bouldering and trying to pull on little tiny holds over and over and over, which sounds really similar to hangboarding, frankly.
Yeah. And I think, and this kind of pairs well with the whole minimum effective dose, because a little bit of hangboarding is great and it's wonderful and it's supplemental. But yeah, you can get fucking diesel hands just by trying really hard on climbs. And I think for a lot of people, hangboarding can be kind of an escape from trying hard. And this is like, not many people want to admit this, but you look at the people who get really strong hands without hanging and without campus boarding. And the thing they all have in common, and it's not just like simply genetics, it's, man, they can try really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like
BJ Tilden is a great example. He can try really, really hard. He's got really fucking strong hands, and he doesn't hangboard. You know, he has no reason to. He got really strong fingers through climbing.
Yeah, like trying short, hard climbs that are really aggressive, making sure you're well rested so that you can give good efforts. Like there are a lot of things you can do to really improve your hand strength through climbing. And that's something that I think gets missed out on a lot.
Yeah, and frankly, you know, if you're someone like a Red River climber who you aren't gaining tons of finger strength, once you're at the 512, 513 level, you're not going to gain a lot of finger strength climbing at the Red. And honestly, I would, instead of just putting you straight onto a hangboard, if you have the time and energy to put toward it, I would rather see you bouldering and learning to do more powerful moves, grab and use smaller holds, do big pulls between smaller holds, instead of just learning to hang on bad holds.
Yeah. And I mean, if we're really going to dive into it, if we're looking at specificity, a hangboard is really not that specific.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it's much more specific than like a gripper or rice bucketing or barbell finger rolls, but you're pulling on completely statically, very slowly in this fixed position. Both your hands are like pronated, and everything's lined up perfectly, you know, and then you're just hanging there for like 10 seconds. Like you're not pulling with your arms or anything.
Yep.
It is nothing like climbing.
Right.
Like, yes, it uses your fingers. It kind of stops there.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing that I do like about one arm hangs or a couple other things, because you're starting to get a little more specific. But yeah, like climbing is the most specific thing you can do when it comes to getting better at climbing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Like hard limit bouldering, like few really hard moves, lots of rest, like you're going to get a lot more out of that and more direct transfer than you are from hangboarding.
Yeah, actually, you know, you and I went bouldering this morning on one of my big projects right now, the Giving Tree. And while there, I was thinking, man, instead of hangboarding before I come here, I should just pull into these positions and try to hold these positions isometrically, you know, for 8 seconds. If I could hold some of those tensiony positions for 8 seconds, I can damn well do the boulder, you know, because I'm trying to get in and out of those positions as fast as possible. And that's going to be way more specific for my needs on this boulder than hanging on a hangboard.
Yeah.
So, and you know, our number one, and this one is especially dangerous, I think, and I see it happening a lot today. I see it on the internet a lot.
I've fallen for it for sure.
Yeah, that finger strength becomes the end goal or the primary asset that you rely on. And all of these things sort of lead into this. They all bleed into each other. But the goal is to climb better, you know, or to climb harder, however you want to look at it.
Big numbers. That's what I'm going for.
The goal is to win on a day.
Yeah.
That's the goal. And you have to, like Dan John, another former podcast guest, said, the goal is to keep the goal the goal. And if climbing better is the goal, then finger strength can't be the end goal. But a lot of people make it that way.
Yeah. It's a wonderful tool. Man, it's a great side goal of saying, like, I want my fingers stronger.
Yeah.
To me, how this manifests, and this is something I've fallen for, is, you know, let's say I do some hanging, I go through a round of it, or I just focus on climbing, getting my hands really strong, and then I have some success.
Yep.
And I go out, I send.
Because you've already got good skills.
Hopefully. But let's say I have like great success from that, and then I go out and I try another project and I fail. My immediate, and this happened to me like multiple times. I'll be like, oh, my hands aren't strong enough.
I need stronger hands. Yeah.
And it's so easy. I mean, our hands are right in front of our eyes. They're really close to our brain.
And you're staring at them when you fell off.
Yeah,
that's what we all do.
Stare at my hands. I'm like, why did you let me down?
You failed me.
You failed me again. it's such an easy trap to say my hands just aren't strong enough.
Yeah.
And, we were talking today when I was at the boulder about, one thing I think was really cool when I was a newer climber, like even up through like my first like 5 and 6 years, I always saw climbing as a puzzle.
Yep.
And I wish I would have learned about fingerboarding and physical training earlier. That's something I wish I could have found the minimum effective dose sooner and supplemented that in. But to me, it was always a puzzle. It was, what can I do different? How can I change? How can I climb better to solve these problems?
Yep.
And I even chased that to an extreme to some degree. But now it's so easy. Like for a while, my initial go-to a lot of times, like I'm not strong enough, or like my hands just can't hold this, or I need more core tension.
Yep.
And, I kind of lost sight of, how do I do this better? Like what are the positions I need to be in? Like how can I change my breathing, my pace, my tension, my speed, all these different things, that go into it.
A lot of that's because of the measurability of it.
Yeah.
It's really easy to go straight back to that and be like, okay, I'm at this number here. I need to get to this number to improve these V grades, and it's a trap, man.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
And I mean, look, I'll say this right now. If I took the holds off of any of my projects all across the world and replace them all with jugs, I'd send all of them.
Yeah.
Which I could easily then say, well, that means if I have stronger fingers, I'll send everything in the world. But there's an upper limit, and we can only develop fingers so fast.
Yep.
And, we should be. Like, we should definitely be continuing to build this strength. But it's so easy to make that, like, I get better because my hands get stronger. It's so easy to get in that mindset, and it's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of coaches, lots of trainers, lots of people saying you should always be hangboarding. You should always be a part of what you're doing. And honestly, I just don't believe that. If I'm in a phase where my finger strength is more than adequate for my goals, and I'm spending time on hard boulders that are stressing my fingers, not allowing my finger strength to regress the way that people think of when they gasp and, oh my God, you're not hangboarding right now. Your finger strength is dying as we speak. That's not happening if you're still pulling on bad holds and pulling hard on them. Mm-hmm. So I just don't believe that that's a thing, so I don't allow finger strength or hangboarding to become my end goal, or it's never been my primary asset. So I don't run that risk, but I know lots of people who do.
Yeah, no. And like I said, it's an easy trap. Because I spent a full year chasing finger strength, and in a way it was really cool. I got really strong with it, but man, I lost a lot of skills along the way. Mm-hmm. And it definitely it shifted my mindset for a few years it was always like, well, what if I just keep chasing finger strength?
Yep.
So yeah, that's
trap. You want to run through them real quick?
Yeah. So number 5 was overdoing the minimum effective dose. Number 4 was measurability is intoxicating. Number 3, climbing is a skill sport. Number 2, you can get strong from climbing. And number 1, finger strength becomes the primary goal and primary mover for improvement.
Yep, and those are our top 5 reasons why hangboarding is overrated. And you know what I'm not going to do right now? I'm not going to do the normal sign-off. Some of you are very happy about that because you're very angry about me always calling this red-tailed hawk an eagle. Well, to hell with you. You don't know how that red-tailed hawk identifies. Maybe she or he, or whatever it is, thinks that it's an eagle. You don't know. But I'm not going to do that sign-off because we've got another episode, and you should go listen to that one right now.
Maybe don't know. This time. It's time to finish.